this activity, I challenged myself to do something that I'd long wanted to learn to do, and that was dance rock and roll. I've always been envious of people who could dance well, especially people who could dance together as a couple. However, despite being a very active person physically, I've never been any good at dancing. Even with the loose form of solo disco dancing that was the fashion in my youth, I was flat-footed, uncoordinated and graceless. While I enjoyed going to barn dances, which were popular when I was in my 20s, barn dancing is more a mobile mob of thundering feet than a floating floor of synchronous couples. However, in my defence, I should also say that I've never had any dance lessons nor learned any type of formal dance choreography. For this activity, I joined the Southside Rock and Roll Club, which uses the Austrian club function room for their lessons, social dancing and Saturday night dances. The 4 one-hour lessons that I attended were run on the first and third Sundays of February and March. In my naivety, I thought rock and roll was one single style of dancing, so I was surprised to find that there are many different types of rock and roll. Indeed, the evolution of rock and roll is somewhat mysterious because the accepted flow diagram of the evolution of modern music doesn't actually include a label for rock and roll. However, one thing is clear, it emerged in the late 1940s out of the fusion of rhythm and blues music with rockabilly music, which itself had evolved out of country music. Run primarily by baby boomers, there are lots of rock and roll clubs around Australia which not only hold regular dances but also organise major rock and roll dance events and competitions.
Today is the day I'm going to go rock and roll dancing.
The teachers for the set of 4 Sunday afternoon lessons were Rodney and Robin, who were both experienced instructors and competitive rock and roll dancers. Some 40 people turned up for the first class, although, as I realised later, many of the people at the lesson were actually long-term club members who came not only to practice but also to be dance partners for the beginners, which I thought was very kind of them, especially as some were excellent teachers as well. The first fundamental principle of rock and roll dancing is that one person in the couple is the lead and the other person is the follow, with a man usually being the lead and a woman being the follow, although because we often had more women than men in the group, some of the more experienced female club members would take the role of lead. As implied, the lead calls all the moves using predominantly his hands, and the follow, follows the lead's directions. In the first part of the lesson, we were divided into leads and follows, and the 2 groups stepped in mirror image of each other. We then spent time learning the basic step sequence of slow, slow, rock, step, slow, moving in a circle and progressing to a new partner every few minutes. We were then taught how the lead directs the follow into a spin with an upper hand movement. By the end of the hour, I discovered that, in my enthusiasm, I had a tendency to take giant steps, and it was only through the persistence of one of the club members in insisting I take smaller steps that I started to refine my movements. The lesson was followed by the opportunity for class participants to stay for an hour to practice what they'd learned and meet other club members. I watched for a while, then headed home, partly happy and partly frustrated that I felt so hopeless at dancing.
Hello everybody, today is Sunday the 9th of February and I'm just about to go into my second rock and roll dancing lesson. It's here at the Austrian Club in Mawson in Canberra. Hope you're having a good day. I'm about to have a great time. See you soon. Bye. Well, it seems I just had a big Dumble on Seniors moment because rock and roll dancing classes are on every fortnight, not every week. I thought they were every Sunday at 2:00. Turns out they're not even every second Sunday, they're to the first and the third Sunday in the month. Okay, so I just have to drive home. It's time It is time for my second rock and roll dance. Let's go.
In the second lesson, we practiced the two major moves that we'd learnt in the first lesson, starting back with the basics again of slow, slow, rock, step, slow. We then moved on to practicing the spin until we had that move perfected too. Throughout the class, the two instructors, Rod and Robin, were always on hand to give personalised instruction. While I was learning to take smaller steps, what I discovered in this lesson was that, as a confident person, I found it almost impossible to demurely follow, and I repeatedly tried to take over the role of the lead, which made it difficult for whomever I was partnering. At times I really struggled, I wrote in my journal afterwards. I am so hopeless. In lots of ways I'm very physical, fit, strong, but these are all with my arms and hands. I am hopeless with my legs and feet. I'm very flat-footed. I just can't dance on my toes. I take great big steps and keep lunging forward. In the practice session afterwards, I danced again with my female mentor, who helped me with the rhythm by constantly calling the steps. I left feeling a bit more optimistic that, at last, I was starting to be a little more coordinated. In the third class, we were taught some additional moves, and I finally started to get into the swing of it. But then it became clear that my ability to dance as a follow depended almost totally on the ability of whomever lead I was dancing with to take full control, so that I submitted to their superior ability. And so I came to look forward to dancing with particular partners because I knew that they would take charge and help me get my own steps right. While I understood why, I found it frustrating that we switch partners so often. As I wrote in my journal later, I'm just getting used to the way one lead dances and his height, because they vary quite a bit, and then I'm on to a new partner and I lose my coordination because of the difference. But it all started to come together, and at times I could be seen with a smile on my face. I stayed on again after the lesson to get in some more practice and went home feeling that maybe I was getting somewhere. At the start of the fourth and final class, the follows were lined up along the back wall of the stage and taught the importance of not letting their elbows go back further than their bodies, because the rigidity would allow the leads to more easily push their follow into a spin. The focus then shifted to learning the high American spin and then a low spin, which I practiced with mixed success. With some personal tuition from Rod, I was finally starting to feel more comfortable dancing with the varying sizes and shapes of the different men in the class, and my smile was seen more often. The main reason why my progress with learning to dance rock and roll had been so slow was that I didn't have a partner to practice with between classes. So 2 weeks after the lessons had finished, I took advantage of a practice class that was offered by 2 enthusiastic club members. By this stage, I certainly had my preferred partners, though I was happy to dance with anyone who was willing to dance with me. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm off to my first ever rock and roll dance. It's a Saturday night. It's nearly 7 o'clock. And I'm going to the Southside Rock and Roll Club's Saturday night dance. Let's see what happens. Every few weeks, the Southside Rock and Roll Club holds a Saturday night dance at the Austrian Club. And so on 12th of April, I went to a dance which featured the band Rock Attack. Now, I should say at this stage that I hadn't been out to a Saturday night dance in decades, possibly 3 or 4, and while I knew that my dancing skills were still only fundamental, I decided to go. While I was thrilled to be there and pleased to be able to dance, I was absolutely blown away by the skills and variety of moves made by the seasoned rock and roll dancers. sadly, I didn't last long on the dance floor. In the face of such expertise, I wilted into a wallflower. In truth, I found it hard to cope with the noise of the band. While many people my age are losing their hearing, my hearing is still very acute, and I simply couldn't cope with the music being so loud. I drove home feeling happy and sad. Happy that I'd finally had some rock and roll dance lessons, but sad that if I couldn't stand going to dances, there wasn't any point in taking the lessons further. Though one day, maybe I will. I paid $20 for annual membership of the Southside Rock and Roll Club and $40 for the set of 4 lessons. I also paid $5 for the practice class and $30 for the dance I attended. In my next episode, I take on my 17th and toughest challenge yet, hiking the rough, steep main range track for 19 kilometres from Charlotte Pass to the top of Mount Kosciuszko, Australia's highest peak, and I encounter a drama that I wasn't entirely prepared for. For more information about living your own unlived life, if you go to my website, you can download a copy of my free book, Living Your Unlived Life, Finding Contentment by Honouring Your Dreams. And if it's your thing, you could like this video and subscribe to my channel.